Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Pill Policy, the Political Patient episode. As part of our collaboration with the American Heart Association, we have a special episode today with 5 guest speakers. So first, we have Ms. Betsy.Vetter. With more than 20 years of experience, Betsy.Vetter currently serves as the National Senior Director of Field Grassroots with the American Heart Association, and in that role, oversees grassroots managers from across the United States, all working to engage advocates of all ages in local, state, and federal public policy efforts. We also have Rebecca.Scharler, who is a regional grassroots manager working to engage advocates on local, state, and federal issues in New England states and New Jersey. And we also have 3 students with us. So first we have Suhas, who attends Georgia Tech and started volunteering with the Tobacco Endgame and You're the Cure programs while in high school. He's just become a member of the American Heart Association Georgia State Advocacy Committee. We also have Zachary, who currently attends the University of Vermont and studies biochemistry. He was first involved with the American Heart Association through a class that helped set up students with internships around the state of Vermont related to public health. He was paired with Tina Zuck and the American Heart Association and helped create wallet cards and a fact sheet related to the American Heart Association policy goals in the state. And finally, we also have Lili, who is a student at the Hunter College and serves on the Tobacco Endgame Advisory Board. So to begin, today we'll be talking about grassroots organizations and how high schoolers can get involved. So our first question that I have is, what is the Tobacco Endgame campaign and why was it started?
I can go and answer that question for you, but I would specifically like to hear from the young people that have been directly involved with it. But as we were doing our work at the American Heart Association, we know based on our science that the #1 preventable cause of heart disease and stroke is tobacco use. And so we have long had a standing goal to promote tobacco control policies, to work on smoke-free laws, raise tobacco taxes, fund programs, and have really worked over that course of time to really bring that, and we've seen progress. However, when electronic cigarettes hit the market, there was a big backslide. We're seeing more and more young people get addicted again, and a lot of the progress slip away. And so here at the Heart Association, we got together and decided that we really need young people because they are being targeted by the tobacco industry. We need to help young people empower their voices and help them really take control and decide for themselves that we're the last generation to be addicted to tobacco and nicotine. And so that's the Tobacco Endgame. We want to really empower young people all across our country to stand up, use their voices, and say, enough's enough.
Yeah, so for me, Tobacco Endgame is really a space for youth to gather and kind of make a collective effort to, as Betsy said, make a stand saying that our generation will not fall victim to these tobacco companies just like they have in the past. And it's really just a place for us as students to get involved on an issue that directly affects us. So.
Well, on that note, in terms of working with people to sort of promote a certain idea or a goal, what would you say is both rewarding and challenging about advocacy through grassroots or programs like Tobacco Endgame?
Yeah, I can go. So I've started advocacy in high school and I've continued to do it throughout my first year of college. And what I can say is that grassroots is one of the most challenging jobs. In general, as an activist, you put in this immense amount of dedication and interest in whatever issue you're trying to deal with. But honestly, sometimes you just don't get the results immediately. It's not something tangible that you see right after you get do an advocacy event. But I would like tying directly to that, the most rewarding thing that you experience as an activist is seeing that bill being placed, or seeing a lawmaker doing something about an issue that you care deeply about, because it really makes you appreciate and know that your efforts have not been waste, and you really know that the combined efforts of everyone on your team really amounted to something.
I'd like something else to add with Suhas in terms of like you're fighting for the attention of like policymakers, and there's a lot of different problems that they are looking at, and like depending on like the government level. And as an activist, it's your chance to try to prove of like why your cause is worthy of getting the law passed, getting like regulation in place. And of course, and most likely gonna be met with failure at first, but like over time, it's all about building that grassroots, building the framework, building relationships and allies to make your voice bigger and help push for your what policies you think would benefit the most people. And I think that's like a really important thing to recognize.
I'm always excited when with Grassroots and working with like working with people in general. It's actually getting to see them like match up and meet with their lawmakers and have that connection and really see the power that they bring with them. It doesn't take much to really move a lawmaker over the edge. And with youth, they have, when they meet with their lawmakers and really like show that like they have the youth and then the length of time, because think about it, you can start voting at 18, but you can be an activist as early as your parents will bring you to a lobby day. So you have like that staying power, and being in front of those lawmakers really shows that like you have the stamina, and you will see those policies. Zach's right. Yeah, you're going to see some failure, but you're also going to then see like this wave, and this wave will like push legislation that makes such a big impact in the community. And that's what I really, really enjoy working with the advocates and being an advocate myself.
Also say really quickly, so I'm in high school, and it can feel like with any type of activism, grassroots included, as a young person, one really difficult part is feeling like maybe there isn't a space for you, or you don't belong among these people for maybe whom advocacy is their job. But lawmakers really love hearing and need to hear from young people. And I think that that's something that we sometimes don't think about, but it really is a really crucial part of that.
So it seems like lawmakers and influential individuals like do need to hear about certain issues, but the hardest part is sort of like raising awareness and attention towards it. And so my question is like, especially like given like the youth today being so like adept with social media, like how can social media be harnessed to raise awareness in general, or but also towards like of the actions of the tobacco industry?
One really important but very simple thing is consulting youth on how to use social media, because sometimes you'll see posts made to draw attention to these problems, but they're just very obviously made by people who don't know what will engage youth and teach them things. So I think it's really important to talk to us and figure out, what will actually make teens and young people pay attention and open their minds up to this, because it's really easy to not hit the spot on social media or hit the mark and to fall short of a goal. And we as youth know the best ways to engage on social media.
I think one thing to note, at least in my experience, a lot of the time, like e-cigarettes are like the cool thing, and that it's kind of hard to displace when a lot of people are taking part. It's kind of like how back in like the movies in like in the mid 20th century, people were smoking cigarettes. All the cool people were doing it. All the celebrities are doing it. But today, it's a really difficult problem to tackle for activists and like people trying to educate kids about the problems related to e-cigarettes and tobacco addiction when trying to fight like the coolness factor. And as Liliana said, like just trying to consult with the youth and also like find ways to like undercut like that cool factor, so people are more likely to like let go or like not even partake in the e-cigarette culture.
And yeah, I just wanted to add on that. So going back on the topic about social media that we were talking about, I definitely think it's a double-edged sword, because if we're gonna like on one side, social media is great in getting news about the harmful effects of tobacco and nicotine products spread to a large audience, but also on the other side, there's like the influence of your peers as well as like a cool factor of smoking a lot of these products. And I think look, like from my perspective, I don't smoke any of these products, but it's definitely something that like having that negative effects, negative media on social media is definitely a major reason why a lot of teenagers start smoking these products very young. So finding a way to ingrain in their minds that these products are not as good and not healthy for you from a young age would be really crucial in preventing it.
So I would just add to this, because I think that was very insightful, everyone, that from our perspective here at the Heart Association, we know that social media is a place where it is a major communications tool. It is a place where people are gathering, in a sense. And so you need to have messages out there. I think to Lili's point was excellent, that we really need to look to young people to discover the messages that will really reach people, because I think that's key. Just last evening, I was in a conversation with another group of college students, and we're talking specifically about menthol products and the targeting of the Black community, and how many of those students were not even really aware of what the facts were. And so if there's a way that we can harness social media to raise awareness, to help people better understand the truth behind it all, I think that's what we want to do. And we know that you have to be in that space in some way, shape, or form, because we've got to balance against what else is being out there. So I think a lot of times that it can be difficult, because all of you are growing up in a generation where the amount of communication and stimulation you receive from it is so high and comes so fast that it's hard to know what's really sticking and resonating. But you really, we have an obligation to be there and make sure, to the best of our ability, that people are aware of what's really happening.
I will say, I think people like needing like more information about certain like issues is very important. And just from my own personal experience, like I feel like I am like from a generation right now that's very interested in protecting the environment and climate change and things like that. And I was certainly surprised, and a lot of my friends were also surprised. Like we knew about tobacco and like the industry's like harm on like health, but not necessarily the environment, especially with like more e-cigarettes and stuff, and with how pods can like start like being like littered into like water sources and affecting water. similar. That's not necessarily a connection that like we made immediately because we're like, oh, tobacco, like smoking, like smoke, fumes, bad. But the connection between e-cigarettes and just the environment isn't like always very clear. And I know like I've been talking to some of my friends, some who do use like electronic cigarettes, and they were sort of talking about how that was some of the first information that they heard that sort of did begin to persuade them to like not use that as much, because at a certain point, like the information about like tobacco being dangerous has been like told many times so far. So like new creative ways, or like not even creative, but like ways that haven't really been like used so far, those can be helpful. Switching gears a little bit. So thinking back to when I was in high school, I definitely was disheartened by the use of like electronic cigarettes, especially because like we would have so many classes where we would talk about how like tobacco use like as a country was like beginning to fall. And then as soon as like vaping and things like that started to pick up, we saw those rates go back up. So if you are like a high schooler like I was, who was just mad and wants to do something about it, what can a high schooler really do to get involved to promote change, especially at like the local level?
I'd love to speak on this because it's something I'm really passionate about. I don't think that a lot of youth realize how easy it is to just take a step and advocate for things that they're passionate about. So one pretty simple thing to do is you can for advocating against tobacco use or any other topic, is looking around and reaching out to groups at your school or in your county, just local youth activism groups, because a lot of them have members that have experience with advocacy and can definitely help you figure out all the steps. There's a lot of online trainings available online for advocacy and lobbying, provided by different organizations. So you can just look that up. And also a lot of local lawmakers have town halls or forums. So just keeping an eye out for those on social media or by looking at these lawmakers' websites can be a really great way to bring issues to your local lawmakers in a more casual way than lobbying. But there's just a lot of methods that we, as high schoolers can make these changes, and you shouldn't feel intimidated by it because, you do have the power to make changes, especially in your local community.
I think it's important to note, like maybe sometimes there might be like places that don't have that infrastructure, and uh, and especially if it's like a school that it deals with a lot of like e-cigarette problems, and like it might feel like intimidating, or rather feel like you get like socially punished for pursuing advocacy efforts because everyone's like into that thing. I think like trying to go to like a trusted adult and maybe trying to uh, form a framework to like get your voice out in some way, just to try to find a opposition instead of like all this going unchecked. But yeah.
Well, I would like to speak to this because I think I agree with Lili, there's a lot of things that young people can do. I think part of it is, to Zachary's point, is that it can feel a little intimidating. And so you may need help. So I would just say step one would be join the tobacco endgame, and anybody can do that really easily. You can just go on your phone and text endgame as one word to 46839, and we'll repeat that at the end. And that will have you join the tobacco endgame with the American Heart Association. We work in every single state in the country. We and our team, Rebecca included, we're there to help you. And we want to help you. And so if you're a young person, you're listening to this, you'd like to get involved, I would say reach out to us, and we'll make sure that you get connected. And we provide training and we provide opportunity. We will listen to what your interests are. I would say for a young person, if you're in your school, starting small with things and building some success is really important, so you don't take on something and just become overwhelmed. So you can start with some things, maybe with your school, but maybe the school environment is hard, and so you can go meet with your local legislators. You can meet with state legislators, you can meet with members of Congress, you can meet with your local officials, school board members, and you can start by just explaining what you see every day and why you're worried and concerned, and start a conversation with them. One of the most important things all of you have is your experience, and it's real, and nobody can take it from you, because what you experience and feel and see in your surroundings, those are your things. Those are your truth. And so being able to share those with people that have the power to make change happen, they can help you and we can help you. And that's what we want to help you be able to do, empower your voice. So I would say if you're a young person, please reach out to us, because we're here to help you in that journey.
Yeah, I would say that, there are really, really small steps that you can take as a young person, including like in joining the tobacco endgame. But we also let you know about like legislation that is going around tobacco policies. And every time that you take an action, which is as simple as doing an email or making a phone call or a tweet to a lawmaker, it lets them know where you stand on these issues. And the more you do it, the more the lawmaker recognizes your name, realizes who you are. So you make that influence, and you keep doing it. And I was encouraged by like even like Stacey Abrams. She kind of brought up that like voting's like medicine. Well, it's the same way with advocacy. I think taking a stand and letting lawmakers know and contacting them constantly will help move the legislation, become the cure. So it's like vitamins. You have to keep doing them every day. There might be one or two that you miss, but like, overall, like taking your vitamins will help you and will help your community become better.
So if I do want to reach out to my local legislators, what do I do? Do I write them? Do I email them? Do I send mail? Like what should I do?
Well,
Go ahead. Mary.
I was going to say, we do here at the Heart Association, we do a variety of things to reach out to lawmakers, including like I said, emails, tweets, and phone calls are our basis. But we also hold like roundtables with our lawmakers, and we invite all of our advocates to come and be a part of it. And you're there with a group, you're a part of the voice. And as Lili had said, you can find out, but like once you've kind of taken part in an alert and an action, I've received emails back and they let me know about town halls that are happening, and I've joined and just been a part of it and started asking questions.
To your point specifically, if you want to find your elected officials, you can look up Who Represents Me. That is like sort of a standard website anywhere where you are, and put in your address, and they will tell you it's your home address, and that connects you to who represents you. And that's all the way from local all the way up to your federal lawmakers. And if you want to meet with, say, you decide that you'd really like to meet with your mayor in your town to have a conversation, you can go to your local government website and it'll have a tab. Almost all of them have a tab just for the local government officials. And in the world today where everybody uses email all the time, usually there is just a a hyperlink right there on the website that you can email to your local officials. The same is true if you go to state officials. They'll have their email address on them. Some of them use web forms. And when you're if you're looking to maybe reach out to a member of Congress, whether it's on the Senate side or the House side, they primarily use a web form. And you usually have to put in your address or a phone number to be able to access that form. And it's to make sure that you're a constituent, somebody that is in their district that's reaching out to them. But I suggest people do it, because once you've done the first step, it becomes easier. And elected officials are just people. They're people just like us. And they need to hear from you. They need to hear the experience. And I have personally been witness to young people who have gone and shared with lawmakers their experience. And like one year we had a young girl from North Carolina with us on our congressional lobby day. And she was really struggling with obesity issues and being able to fit in daily physical activity, and was just sharing that with the lawmakers, really had a lot of interest and passion around that, and was actually quoted on the floor of the House later by the lawmaker, because we can give statistics as the day is long, but a real person with a real story is compelling. And so, she was like 5th grade, and the lawmaker quoted her on the floor of the House of Representatives in the United States. So it was pretty cool for her to have that, and to have that recognition. So I'm telling you that to say, wherever you are, whoever's listening, you can make that kind of impact too.
I also just want to say really quick, not only do lawmakers want to hear from you, not only do they need to hear from you, but it is their job to hear from you. Their job is to represent their constituents to the best of their ability. And you sharing your experience and views with them helps them to do their job to the best of their extent. So don't ever feel insecure about sharing your story, because not only is it helping you and the people that it will affect, but it's also helping that lawmaker to do their job.
Yeah, and I just wanted to share one of my experiences with talking with my lawmakers. So where I'm from, we have monthly student Board of Education meetings. And for one, I was for one of the clubs that I'm a part in during high school, we actually were invited to speak at one of these Board of Education events. And I think that being able to attend events like these and meetings like these is a great way to meet your superintendent for education, and then meet a bunch of other lawmakers in your county. And that just gives you the platform to share your ideas and share what you're passionate about. And who knows, it could possibly snowball to your state legislature and then possibly even more.
I would also, this came to mind, writing a letter to the editor. A lot of the newspapers are online, and lawmakers, older individuals read the newspaper and they pay attention. And so the same way that you can write a I wouldn't say Facebook, I know that one's a little bit older, but an Instagram post, you can do the same thing and submit that information to letters to the editor. Most of the newspapers, local newspapers, are online, and they have that hyperlink where you can just write the reason why you care about this policy and really let them know. And it is caught by lawmakers' attention. They do read the newspaper, they do pay attention to that.
So that's all I have in terms of my questions. But before we do wrap up, do you all have anything else that you would want to share?
I would just say, from my perspective, that for anyone listening, we want you to be involved. We live in a country where we are actually blessed and we are able to be active citizens and engaged citizens. And so I would just encourage you to take advantage of that. And exercise that ability. And when you start young, it'll just become a habit like anything else. And it's a wonderful experience to be part of change and to know that something that you worked on has created change. The great thing about working with us at the American Heart Association on the policies that we work on, literally these policies will save people's lives. And I don't think there's much better way in the world to feel good about yourself as to helping save lives. Literally, these policies do that. And so I would just say, be an active participant. Don't stay on the sidelines.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that encouragement. And thank you so much to all 5 of our guests today. I loved hearing from you. And thank you again to our listeners. We hope you enjoyed this discussion, and be sure to be on the lookout for more The Political Patient episodes. And for now, bye.